Hello, my fellow YouTubians. Peekaboo Creek and a few other individuals, I'm sure, are probably very interested in what I think of the new Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, or as I like to call it, Harry Potter and the Goblet of the Prisoner in the Chamber of the Half-Blood Prince. I mean, you know, these titles seem kind of arbitrary at this point. I would like, for those of you who are Harry Potter fans, to please bear in mind that I am approaching the series purely as a fan of cinema and not as someone who has read the books and is interested in the film's fidelity to the books, because since I haven't read them, I don't care whether or not they are loyal to the books or not. I might get around to reading them after the final film has been released. I understand they're quite excellent. I wouldn't mind at all, really, but I'm reading a different book series right now, and I really don't have loads of time to read, as I am trying to write and see all the films that I'm interested in as well. This is not an easy thing to do. I've already cut out all the TV series from my life, so yeah, starting another book series, well, it might be a while before I get the chance to do that. So anyway, what I've observed is a fierce devotion from Harry Potter fans, especially those that really love the books and want to see them reproduced chapter by chapter, character by character, story point by story point in the films. That seems more like it would be better suited for a television series, kind of like Watchmen. Watchmen, I think, would have made a very good HBO miniseries rather than a feature film, which is limited in its running time. And the Harry Potter films, as long as they are also quite limited, and feature a lot of story points that are changed and characters that are reduced or cut out altogether, as are the storylines. A couple of my favorite Harry Potter movies, I've spoken with people on YouTube who don't like them just because of all the stuff they leave out. Prisoner of Azkaban, for example, and Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. The Order of the Phoenix is my favorite of the Harry Potter series. And Azkaban comes in second. And I think at this point I'd have to say that Deathly Hallows Part 1 would be third of my favorite Harry Potter films. But like I said, I'm not someone who is interested really in how they successfully reproduce the storyline from the books. I'm taking them merely as a film fan. But you know, since the books have such a devoted following, I sort of can't help but to compare them to the original Star Wars trilogy. In their rabid fan base. I know that when the Star Wars movies came out, I was, a kid. I was a young kid. I think the final Star Wars in the original trilogy came out when I was 10. I was 10 years old when it came out. And they were everything to me, the Star Wars movies. You know, the characters, the worlds, the creatures. All of it was just is like practically my whole life. I mean, there was other stuff I was interested in as well at that time, like E.T. and Superman, Star Trek. But Star Wars was the ultimate, and I know for a lot of you, Harry Potter is the ultimate fictional saga. And that's great, it really is. But I don't really have the same perspective because, seeing as how I haven't read the books, the closest I can come to it is probably The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Star Wars isn't based on novels, but The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a series of 5 novels that were written by, as it happens, another English writer named Douglas Adams. I first started reading them when I was about 12, I think. And all in all, 5 books were written by Douglas Adams before he unfortunately passed away in 2001. And when the film Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy came out, I was 32. And I knew at that time that the movie, as much as I wanted to see a movie from Hitchhikers, would never be as good or as fun as the books. Just because reading a book written in this particular style of Douglas Adams is so much more entertaining than the movie could ever achieve. Because you're missing quite a bit. You're missing his writing style. You have the dialogue, of course, and you have sections of the movie that have narration taken straight from the books, which actually started off as a radio series, not as a series of novels. But I knew that a lot would be lost. I knew that stuff would be changed and altered, and I was okay with it. When I saw it, I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It wasn't the best movie ever, but there's no way that it could be, and I accepted that before I saw it. And there's actually a couple of moments in the movie that are original and actually quite funny. So getting on to Harry Potter now. Like I said, this is about my third favorite Harry Potter film. The reason why is probably because I don't really care that much for the first two movies at all. They're basically kids' movies, and I can kind of take them or leave them. I did like Kenneth Branagh quite a bit in the second movie. He was a lot of fun, and I did like that sequence where Harry discovers he's a parcel mouth. Goblet of Fire, I think, is pretty good, but I'm kind of disappointed with the end of that movie. Just the ending just seems kind of awkward. The whole competition that turns into the second coming of Voldemort, that sequence is really good. But all in all, I'm not a big fan of that film. I like Azkaban quite a bit. I like Order of the Phoenix quite a lot. I think that's a terrific movie. Just in terms of being a movie in and of itself, not as, how it's supposed to fulfill the story points in the saga, but just it's a very cinematic film. And I was particularly delighted to see Dolores Umbridge make a reappearance in Deathly Hallows, until I realized, wait a minute, didn't she get kidnapped or something like that by a bunch of Death Eaters or some other evil entities? No. They were no. What are they? They're not Death Eaters. They're those other guys. What are those other guys? The guys that are supposed to be watching Azkaban. They're like, you can't even control them. They're so dangerous. Dementors, right, Dementors. I don't know this stuff real well. Like a hardcore Harry Potter fan would know immediately that I was talking about Dementors, and I don't know about this stuff. The Dementors made their first appearance in the films in Azkaban, but I don't know, how prominently they feature in the first two books, if at all. Anyway, okay, so Deathly Hallows. First of all, Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy is not only in this movie, he's also in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. But whenever I see him now, all I think of when I hear his voice is, Jack Sparrow, you owe me your soul. You've been captain the Black Pearl for 13 years. Technically, I was only captain for 2 years, and then was viciously mutinied upon. Then you were a poor captain, but a captain nonetheless. Have you not identified yourself all these years as Captain Jack Sparrow? Price, it's that voice of his, I just can't help but think of Davy Jones, an amazing special effect and amazing performance in an otherwise lunatic movie. That would, of course, be Pirates of the Caribbean Part 2. So, okay, fine. A lot of divergence here. Okay, the big problem that I had with Deathly Hallows is this section that went on far longer than it needed to, with Harry wandering around trying to figure out what to do next with Hermione. And it's just the two of them. Ron, he's run off, and the two of them are just sort of hanging out. And there's this very, very sad scene where Harry is desperately trying to cheer her up just a little bit by, prompting her to dance to the song on the radio. And then that doesn't last very long at all. She is depressed once again. And they're both really depressed because they don't know what to do. And it really seems like this locket that they're carrying around starts to closely resemble the ring in Lord of the Rings, how it affects their mood when they wear it. They take turns wearing it, but when they start getting really moody and angry easily, and it just sort of brings out the worst in them. So I wasn't real keen on that. But there's a lot of stuff that I did like about it. Their infiltration of the Ministry of Magic was a really great sequence. The whole sequence involving Bellatrix at the climax of the film, trying to rescue Luna. That whole bit was great. Dobby, I'm not a big fan of Dobby. He really is like, to me, the Jar Jar Binks of the Harry Potter series. He's like that thing that they threw in there just to appeal to little kids. But there are a number of really terrific actors in this movie that I admire quite a bit. And I gotta say, my favorite sequence of the whole movie was probably the very first scene involving Voldemort and all the other Death Eaters having taken over Hogwarts. Is that right? Yeah, it's Hogwarts, right? I mean, I thought I recognized it. It's like there's no teachers around, but and no kids anymore. But yeah, they've sort of put up shop there, I think. This is all really rambly. It's pretty late. I've just sort of been thinking about the movie all day since I saw it early, and been sort of processing my feelings on it. I noticed a lot of the camera work seems to be really kind of shaky, and like that kind of a shot where it's like taken from all the way the other side of the room, but zoomed in, but handheld, so that it's all like, you know, misframed and kind of shaky, and I found that pretty distracting. In much the same way that V. Rose found the camera work in Gangs of New York distracting, was sort of at odds with the rest of the film and the tone, whatever. I'm not really sure, but there's a lot of stuff that I did like about it. I'm just trying to think of other stuff that I enjoyed. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss here. I need to think more on it, I suppose. But I just wanted to sort of get my initial reaction down, because I know that some of you would be interested in that. Yeah, nothing really comes to mind. All the acting, I think, is fairly competent, and especially so from the adults. Snape, gosh, you know, I really was disappointed with what they did with Snape in the last film. I didn't like the last film at all. Half-Blood Prince, really didn't like that very much. They spent way too much time on the stuff that I thought didn't matter and way too little on the stuff that really did. But yeah, it looks like the Horcrux thing is well underway, and yeah, I'm just rambling right now. Yeah, it's time to wrap this up. So thanks very much for watching. I did generally enjoy the movie, but in general, the Harry Potter movies I'm not a hardcore fan of any of them, so it's difficult for me to say, yeah, it's great, when in fact it's only pretty decent in terms of Harry Potter movies, which in and of themselves are not awesome. There's only really one awesome Harry Potter movie, and that's the fifth one as far as I'm concerned. So this has gone on pretty long already, so thanks very much for watching. Take it easy.